book 16 of the Odyssey. Telemachus gets back to Ithaca. He starts walking up to the hut, and Eumaeus's hut, the four dogs love Telemachus. Remember when Odysseus rolled up, the four dogs who had never met Odysseus before, so he's just a stranger, they start barking and going crazy. They know Telemachus, and they love him, and they jump all over him, and it's pretty cool. And at this point, Odysseus has to hide his emotions. He cannot be revealed too early. I mean, can you imagine being a father? You haven't seen your son. You left when your son was a month old. Now you're back after 20 years. You see your son, a 20-year-old because Telemachus is grown up now. And you have to hide your emotions. You can't jump up and cry. It's pretty moving moment that we go through, lines 13 through 32. You know who doesn't hold back, though, is Eumaeus. Up jumped the swineherd in amazement, and from his hands fell the vessels he was using to mix the wine. He went to greet his master, Telemachus, kissing his head and his shining eyes and both his hands. And as a loving father embraces his own son, come back from a distant land after 10 long years, his only son, greatly beloved, and much sorrowed for, so did the noble swineherd clasp Telemachus and kiss him all over. He had escaped from death. And sobbing, he spoke to him these winged words. You have come, Telemachus, sweet light. I thought I would never see you again after you left in your ship for Pylos. But come in, dear child. Let me feast my eyes on you here in my house. Come back from abroad. You don't visit the farm often, or us herdsmen, but you stay in town. It must do your heart good to look at that weaveling crowd of suitors. Now, Telemachus meets the stranger, and he tells the stranger beggar, his dad, that he doesn't know yet, to stay away from the palace because the suitors are jerks. Odysseus, in disguise, tries to put courage into his son's heart. He gives him advice on what a real man would do to the suitors, and that's lines 100 to 119. And if you look, Odysseus the beggar says to Telemachus, my friend, surely it is right for me to speak up. It breaks my heart to hear you talk about the suitors acting like this in your house and going against the will of a man as great as you. It is against your will, isn't it? What happened? Do the people up and down the land all hate you? Has a god turned them against you, or do you blame your brothers, whom a man has to rely upon in a fight, especially if a big fight comes up? I wish I were as vigorous as I am angry, or were a son of flawless Odysseus, or Odysseus himself. Spoiler alert, he is. Then I would put my neck on the chopping block if I did not give them hell when I came into the halls of Odysseus, son of Laertes. But if they overwhelm me with superior numbers, I would rather be dead, killed in my own halls, than have to keep watching these disgraceful deeds. Strangers mistreated, men dragging the women through the beautiful halls, wine spilled, bread wasted, and all this with no end in sight. So he tries to put a little courage in Telemachus' heart. Telemachus says, yeah, let me tell you the story. And he tells him a very bad story. He's still kind of whining. My dad's not here. I don't know what to do. I don't have any help, blah, blah, blah. Eventually, Telemachus sends Eumaeus to tell his mom, Penelope, that Telemachus is back safely. Tell my mom I'm back. Also, please send a messenger to my grandpa, Laertes. Remember, he's living in the slave quarters, to tell him that he is safe, that Telemachus is back safe as well. Now, at this point, Eumaeus takes off. He's gone, so it's just Telemachus and Odysseus in the hut. And Athena appears. Only Odysseus can see her. And she says, hey, come outside. I want to talk to you. They step outside, and Athena says, she speaks to Odysseus. She speaks to him in private. She tells him, look, you got to reveal yourself to your son. Because Athena wants revenge on these jerks as well. And the sooner they can get to planning, the sooner they can get to the revenge. And that's what she really wants. She's the goddess of wisdom and warfare. So she says, Odysseus, you got to reveal yourself to your son so we can start planning our revenge. and she changes him to look like Odysseus. She makes his muscles stronger, bigger. He's almost glowing. His hair is beautiful. He looks taller, and he steps back into the hut, as you'll see, lines 178 to 197. And Telemachus is amazed. He actually thinks that this is a god. 178 to 197. Son of Laertes, tell your son now and do not keep him in the dark, so that you too can plan the suitor's destruction, and then go into town. As for myself, I will not be gone long. No, I am eager for battle. With this, she touched him with her golden wand. A fresh tunic and cloak replaced his rags, and he was taller and younger, his skin tanned, his jawline firm, his beard glossy black. Having worked her magic, the goddess left, and Odysseus went back into the hut. His son was astounded. Shaken and flustered, he turned away his eyes for fear it was a god, and words fell from his lips in nervous flurries. Telemachus says, "You look different, stranger, than you did before, and your clothes are different, and your complexion. You must be a god, one of the immortals who hold high heaven. Be gracious to us so we can offer you acceptable sacrifice and finely wrought gold, and spare us, please." But Odysseus says, "No, it's me, son," and he reveals himself. Remember, the word for revelation is anagnoresis. And the father and the son, they cry and they hug and they cry some more. And it's really a beautiful scene. 20 years. I mean, Odysseus, they really haven't met each other yet, but now he's back. 229. And a longing arose in both of them to weep and lament. And their shrill cries crowded the air like the cries of birds, sea eagles, or taloned vultures, whose young chicks rough farmers have stolen out of their nest before they were fledged. Their tears were that piteous, and the sun, its light fading, would have set on their weeping, had not Telemachus suddenly said, "Hey, Dad, we got to stop crying. We got to do something about this." So, really beautiful moment. One of Odysseus' biggest revelations there. Odysseus is now ready to plan. Telemachus does not believe it is possible because there are 117 suitors. Okay, at this point, I'm going to tell you guys about an Easter egg. In the next video and this video, I have a question. The first part of the question, you should probably write this down, is how many cups? Okay, and I'll tell you more later, but pay attention. So, anyway, Odysseus is ready to plan. There's 117 suitors, and he names them, lines 260 to 271. From Dulichium, there are 52, the pick of their young men and 6 attendants. From Same, there are 24. From Zacynthos, there are 20. From Ithaca itself, 12, all the noblest. And with them are Medon the herald, the divine bard, and 2 attendants who carve. If we go up against all of them in the hall, I fear your vengeance will be bitter indeed. Please try to think of someone to help us, someone who gladly be our ally. And Odysseus, hilarious, makes this joke. He says, "I'll tell you who will help us. Do you think that Athena and her father Zeus would be help enough, or should I think of more?" Hilarious would be right now if Telemachus was like, "Yeah, Steve down the street, he might help. He's good with the spear." But no, if you have Athena and Zeus on your side, you are set. They cannot lose. Trust in the gods, and something you guys should always do, trust in God. He's got a plan for you, even though sometimes life looks bad. He's got a plan. You just got to get through and see the positive. Now, speaking of plans, this is Odysseus and Athena's plan. Number 1, Odysseus will go to the palace disguised as a beggar, and he will beg and test all the suitors and all the, that's supposed to say servants, servants, and the suitors to see who will die, who is making the list. Odysseus warns Telemachus that he will be abused and insulted, and he says, "Look, son, just take it. Don't do anything to protect me. Just let them heap abuse upon me and say all these bad things." At Odysseus' signal, like a head nod, Telemachus will lock up all of the suitors' weapons and spears in the storeroom, saying, A, they're getting grimy because of the fire, smoke, and soot in the main room there. You always had a fire going to keep everyone warm, so that smoky stuff gets things all gooky. So they had to protect against that. And when the suitor, also, we're putting your weapons away, suitors, because when you're drunk, you might hurt each other. So leave some weapons, Odysseus says, leave some weapons hidden for us, though, Telemachus and Odysseus. And he also says, tell no one about our plan that I am home. Don't tell anyone, not your mom, not Eurycleia, not Laertes, no one. Okay, the second part of the Easter egg question, the words are in. Are in. Okay. Now, Eumaeus delivers the message that Telemachus is home safely to Penelope, and the suitors hear about it, and they are very, very upset. This is lines 365 to 370. And if you look here, this was bad news for the suitors. They filed out of the hall and past the great wall of the courtyard and sat down before the gates. Eurymachus was first to speak. Damn it! Telemachus has some nerve pulling off this voyage. He never thought we'd see it happen. We never thought he'd see it happen. Well, let's get a tarred ship out in the water and best we have and a crew to man the oars and tell our men out at sea, the ambush guys, to get back here as soon as they can. So they're very upset. And at this point, Antinous, who is one of the two main suitors are Antinous and Eurymachus. Remember, doubling, right? You want, for really important parts, you have two things showing it. Antinous speaks up, and he's got a plan. Lines 384 to 417. He says, let's kill Telemachus as he walks up to the palace. We'll wait in the woods or whatever, in the fields, and we'll find him. We'll jump him before he gets back to the palace and kill him. Now, another guy, Amphinomus, says, I don't know if we should do that, buddy. Lines 426 to 431. Amphinomus says, friends, I would not willingly choose to kill Telemachus. It is a very serious matter to murder someone of royal stock. We should first consult the will of the gods. If great Zeus ordains it, I will kill him myself and urge on others. But if the gods are against it, I urge you to stop. So everyone listens to Amphinomus, and they say, yeah, we should probably be careful. Now at this point, Penelope comes downstairs, and she tells Antinous, dude, you're a jerk. Lines 446 to 466. She kind of reminds him, when you were little, actually, when your dad was on the run from someone, and he had to be saved, and Odysseus took him in and protected him. And now here you are in his house, and this isn't good. So, lines 446 to 466, she says, Antinous, you are a haughty and evil man. They say you are the best of your generation in all of Ithaca in counsel and in speech, but you don't measure up to your reputation. You must be mad, plotting Telemachus' death. Don't you care at all that your father was once a suppliant here? Remember the rules of supplication, guys. You help someone out or you could kill them. So his father was in big trouble, and Odysseus helped him out. Zeus witnesses this, and it is unholy for suppliants and hosts to harm each other. Or haven't you heard of the time your father came to this house as a fugitive? The people were angry with him because he had joined up with the Taphian pirates and harassed our allies, the Thesprotians. The citizens wanted to beat him to death and gobble up his large and pleasant estate, but they were held in check by Odysseus. It is his house that you are now gobbling up without atonement. His wife you are wooing, his son you are trying to kill, and as for me, you are causing me unspeakable distress. Stop it, I tell you, and tell the others to stop. So Penelope stands up for herself, which is great. And then Eurymachus, you see bookends again. Antinous speaks first. These two try and say, hey, caution. And then you got another jerk speaking at the end here. But Eurymachus promises that Telemachus will come to no harm. He says, okay, fine, we won't kill him. We promise, lines 468 to 481, we promise we won't do anything. Now, that's the end of book 16, guys. That's the end of book 16.